Welcome to The Author's Journey with #1 international best-selling author and in-demand publisher, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. Today, we'll showcase the works of an amazing best-selling author, find out the story behind their book, and explore ways to bring your message powerfully forward. Now, here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Excited to be connecting in with you on The Author's Journey, where we talk with amazing best-selling authors that have gone through the vision of the book, then the creation of the book, and then publishing the book and releasing it into the world in such a way that it has become a bestseller or above. And on this show, we get to pull back the curtain, really have candid conversations to see what was the journey really like. What are some behind the scenes moments, things and advice and maybe surprises along the way that the author has gone through or discovered that was all part of that journey of continuing to lean forward and bring that book to the world. Because it's not something that just happens overnight. It takes a lot of persistence and resilience and commitment to bringing that message forward. So I'm just thrilled and excited to have each of you joining us today as we lean into a powerful conversation with our amazing guest, who I know you will enjoy her wisdom, insight, and perspective, and the powerful book that she has leaned in to bring to the world. So with that, I want us to take a moment as we breathe. We slow down for a moment, and we're ready to receive. We're ready to discover, what does it take to bring a book forward, to lean in and bring that idea to reality instead of someday, today, and having it available to touch people's hearts and lives. So just take a moment and breathe and sink into that and think about, what is it that you're wanting to discover or learn today? As we lean in, what would support you on your journey? And as you're feeling in, I invite you to write that down, because you're going to have an opportunity towards the end of the show to be able to connect in both with myself and our amazing guest to support you on your journey. So if by chance we don't cover your question on the show today, you can reach out to us. We'll be excited to lean in and support you on your journey. Oh, welcome, welcome. It is my privilege and honor to introduce our amazing guest today, Tashiyanna Noel. She is a mental health advocate, holistic transformation strategist, international best-selling author, speaker and creator of Mind, Well, Body, and Soul, an organization who supports those who wish to overcome symptoms of anxiety and depression and emotional distress. Let's lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and international best-selling author, Tashiyanna Noel. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm excited to have you joining us today. And I want to start our conversation with a little bit about you, why this work has become so important to you to support people in so many different ways, from your organization to the tools to the programs to in bringing this book forward. We'd love to understand a little bit more of why that work is important to you.
I think it's important. We all could use a little bit of self-improvement because we all are going through things. What I think with my book and the organization is, people aren't always conscious of how their past choices and their childhood, where their choices weren't really their own, may be affecting them today. And when I encourage people as a mental health advocate to seek help and get therapy, I realized a lot of people cannot afford it, especially consistently. So I wanted to provide, a very affordable option, a very efficient resource that I know can help people if they took the time and do the work. And it's a little bit more private, personal, on your own schedule and things like that. And so with knowing that, how powerful and how life-changing therapy can be, just condensing the most knowledgeable tools and the most helpful information that I've received in therapy over 10 plus years into 170 pages. Really, I felt like was very impactful.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing some of why this work is important to you and why you felt led to bring it forward in a book and make it so accessible and available to people. I love that vision. I think that's so powerful. I'd love for you to share the title of your book and just a little bit about it. If there's something that stands out in your mind that would be really great for people to know. So the title and something unique about your book.
The title is called You Have No Right to Stay Broken. It's a story-guided roadmap to self-actualization. It has a little bit of my personal story in there, but really the focus is on the reader and them, connecting to their story. I put my story in there to help people identify that they're not alone. Like we are all going through things, and it may not look like I'm the type of person who would, be depressed or be going through suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, but I am. And then I explain why. And I think what's unique about my book is I have in there a little bit of everything. Like I said, it's the most powerful things that helped me overcome my depression and being diagnosed with an invisible illness, being a mental illness. It's the tools that they give you alongside of the drugs, the prescription drugs, because I was on antidepressants, I just feel like are so much more powerful. So I include things like mandalas so you can color, help relieve your stress. There's quotes for encouragement. There's some really, really, really great journal prompts, breath work exercises, the best types of therapy that I found the most helpful in my 10-year journey in therapy. It's just so many different things for all demographics, all different age ranges, and men and women. So I think that's what makes my book unique.
Beautiful. No, I love that. I feel like it's very comprehensive. It has a lot of different ways that people can be supported on the journey and kind of find that place and take some of those steps so that support is very accessible and can still be personalized to their needs and to how they're wired and made, and even things that can help in the moment, like that breath work or the mandalas or the quotes to inspire. So I think it's a very, very rich combination. And I'm curious, as you reflect back on the journey, how long it took to put from idea to reality, to bring it forward, and if there were surprises along the way, things that you didn't know before you on the publishing journey that maybe surprised you.
Yeah, so I've always written poetry. I've started journaling for years. I've been journaling for years, literally, since I was a teenager, at the direction of my very first therapist in high school. And it just helps to get my emotions out and help me process things. And originally, I was going to do kind of like a book of the journal entries, just so people could see the transformation. And I remember wanting to remain anonymous. I remember I have actually a registered pen name, and I was going to put it out in a pen name, but I realized that wouldn't really connect with people the way it needed to. And so the first 2 years of the book was me trying to figure out, how can I tell this story in a way where I'm not putting all of my business out there? I wanted to hold some of it to myself. I wanted to protect some people. I have a son. I was concerned about, what my parents might think and some things that they might find out. And it was just me thinking about everyone else. And then I realized so many people were struggling with worthiness in the exact same way that I had been, and just are like me, dealing with it on their own, just, isolating themselves and feeling like they can't talk to anyone because no one will understand. And when I realized that, when I had started telling people, like, yeah, I think I'm going to put out a book. I'm just trying to figure it out. And they were like, oh, yes, we need that. When I started hearing that, I was like, I got to put my name on it just so people can connect a face and connect me to the story, because I'm really one of those people who people had no idea. They had no idea what was going on with me and how bad things had gotten. And to imagine that there's other people out there going through similar situations or any kind of situation where, they're struggling with, wanting to be here and having a reason to live, that really just caused me to, you have to do this. If you're going to do it, you have to do it this way, and you got to do it right. So then that part was 2 years. So the second part of it, once I got over that first part of like putting my name on it, then I outlined and I wrote it. I had it line edited, proofread, and then I remember being done. And I went to a family function, and my people in my family in that target demographic, growing up in lower income levels, maybe one-parent households, poverty-stricken neighborhoods, they are the people who I felt like, need therapy, but need it in a consolidated, a more affordable way. And when I was talking to them about some things, I realized like some of the language may completely go over their head and miss them. And so I rewrote almost the whole thing.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah. I did. I came back. Actually, it was this year, right before we put it out. And I think I had a cousin's picnic in June. I can't remember the exact month, but it was sometime before we put it out, like less than 6 months before we put it out. And I re-edited the whole thing. And I just, afterwards, I was like, all right, this feels good. I wanted just to make sure that I was talking to the right people, and I was not just, redivulging what I heard from the people with doctorate degrees, the people that I've heard in medical field, because there's a lot of medical terminology in there. And so the entire process was a little bit over 4 years.
Oh, but I love your willingness to face those concerns about, do I share my name? Do I not? Do I use my pen name? How much do I put out there? Do I, and then being willing when it's done to be open to perhaps making a change. That's really hard to do and can be daunting. But I love your commitment to serving the people that this book is for, and that your willingness to be transparent, like be authentic and really share who you are and share that it is you in a way to serve, that you were willing to go back and revise some of the language to really connect with those who you have written it for. And I just celebrate that. I think that's really great information for all the listeners, and for anyone who thinks it happens overnight and over a weekend. It takes a little bit longer.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Right.
And I appreciate
to bring
that.
it forward.
It definitely was a hard choice for me to make. I had to sit down, and I had conversations with my mother first. I had a conversation with my father, and I had a conversation with my son, and I had a conversation with my ex-husband. And I was like, hey, I'm doing this. And, there's some information out there that I don't know how you might feel about it, but I feel like it's really important for me to say it. And I know that you may not like it, but I don't want you to take it personal. I just want you to understand, like, this was my perspective of the situation. And so it was very, difficult, but it was totally worth it, definitely.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. We are getting ready to go to our first commercial break. And as we do that, listeners, I want you to think about some of what Tashiyanna has shared. And one, I think it gives us another perspective when we read books and a little bit of the journey and the heartbeat of the author who has brought that to the world. And then secondly, for those of you who are called to be an author, to bring it forward, these are really great things to consider and think about as you're bringing your book forward. And if there's a big change like that, or it takes more than a year to bring forward, I've talked to people that it's taken many, many years. So I love that we remember that and we're really consistent about bringing our information forward, but honoring the purpose, the why the book is being brought forward and staying true to that. And I think Tashiyanna has done that so beautifully. So on this commercial break, I encourage you to stay present, really reflect on what's been shared and see what's bubbling up. Maybe an idea, maybe a prompting, maybe a question. Write that down and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you have some great thoughts and notes that you wrote down during that break, during that moment, to just stop and connect in and see what's bubbling up within you. And I promised that towards the end of the show, we'd give you an opportunity to connect in and ask your questions, get support. So we'll make sure to, at the end of the show, let you know how to do that. So you want to have your paper and pen ready. But I did want to take a moment and let you know about a resource that may be supportive of you. It's called the Emerging Author Series with an S.com is where you can go, emergingauthorseries.com. And it's a series of different ebooks on some of the most common questions, frequently asked questions that we get in the publishing space. So everything from an idea to what do I do with it? Where do I start? Or I've written it. Now what? Myths and truths. So you can go in there and they're free gifts to support you on your journey. So any of you who you're looking for that next step, you're not quite sure what it might be, these are some tools designed to help you. So emergingauthorseries.com. So I hope you lean into that and it's supportive of your journey. And as we continue our conversation with Tashiyanna, I just love her commitment to really staying true to her why and her purpose of this book and bringing it forward. And she shared a little bit of some behind the scenes and some of the steps that she went through in doing that, even the conversations that she had with people to let them know this book is coming out and some of the things that are going to be shared in that. And so I'm curious, as we circle back to that, Tashiyanna, and you had some of those conversations, and that's a very courageous thing to do. I think it's something people shy away from and it's difficult to do, but to really stand in your truth and to honor what you are called to bring forward and that you did that. And I loved how you shared. And all these things were challenging, but it was worth it. The journey of bringing it forward and sharing it with the world is worth it. Do you mind sharing a moment of where you got that confirmation, you knew this was it, and you were so glad you took the journey?
With the book, or the conversation?
Oh, the book. Mm-hmm.
I think that after it was out, actually probably before it was out, I let a few people read the ARC copy. And even after it was out, just the response from the very beginning has been like, whoa, this is incredible. Not only people commending my vulnerability, but so many people connecting with it in a way that I hoped it would be helpful. And that was the goal, just to help somebody, just to walk them through the steps, if they could relate to the situation that I'd been in. But there's people that have been in similar situations, but different situations that are still pulling from it. And the personal messages that I started to receive just from the feedback from the ARC review copies, And after it was published, the reviews themselves, personal messages, like I said, text messages, they're just so rewarding. They bring tears to my eyes sometimes. Like when you say your heart smiles, like my heart does something to know that it's being received the way that it was intended. That has been truly like an undescribable feeling. Like it's been incredible. And that's when I knew, like, okay, like this, you have to keep going forward with this. I've already started on my next project. Like you just have to, this is doing exactly what you wanted it to. And so like you can't shy away from it now. Like you're going to have to, continue to embrace this and speak on it and talk intimately about more details, because there's more questions that people want to know, things that I didn't feel were pertinent information, but were still part of my journey that people are just curious about. And that's how I knew that, no matter what happened, like it was something that had to be done, and it was the right thing to do.
Beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that. And I love that this has sparked another book. So we'll have to stay in touch about that too. But how beautiful that is to know that the intention has happened and it's been received. And not only is it helping one person and making a difference, it's helping many, many people and making a big difference. And there's this ripple out that's happening. And those are lives being touched and changed and impacted in a positive way. And that's really, really powerful. So congratulations. I celebrate that. I'm so glad that you it wasn't 7 years. I'm so glad that you were bringing it forward for such a time as this, because I really believe there's a timeliness to things, and you honored the timeliness of this book and what was needed, and you didn't let the fear or the wondering or the hard things hold it back. And it's so important, I think. It's so important that you lean in and brought that forward. So I want to celebrate that. And I thank you for leaning in and being willing to be vulnerable and to bring your book and your work and your life and your wisdom to the world. And it was when it launched, you very quickly reached international best-selling status in the U.S. and France. And I believe it was in 22 categories, if I'm remembering correctly. Mm-hmm. So a great response very, very quickly, which again is a testament to the need and the response and the support that people are looking for. So I'm curious, as you just reflect back on that and it's being received in that way, just any thoughts or suggestions or tips or advice you would give to those who are looking to bring their book forward?
I would say, if you have written a manuscript and you've had someone line edit it or proofread it, and you're still wondering, like, is it ready? Like, just put it out. Like that would be my advice. Stop doubting yourself and just, because there's always going to be room for improvement. Like I did that rewrite. But I had to do that rewrite because I knew the terminology that I was using, although it would have connected with an older demographic, I also wanted to reach people in their 20s. And so I had to, layman's terms, a lot of things. But if it wouldn't have been for that, like the overanalyzing of like, is it ready? There's so many questions that you could ask yourself and be like, you just you never feel ready. Like there's always room for improvement. Just put it out. Just put it out. It will be received the way that it needs to be received. And then if it's not received, like there's always edits, and then just re-put it out again.
I like that you just move forward.
Yeah. Just stop doubting yourself. There's only so much that you know at the time. So when you feel like it's complete, if you reread it, I can't tell you how many times I reread it. I think like 7 times from cover to cover. But by each time that I was rereading it, like I found myself skipping things and sometimes, and you just it's that imposter syndrome or whatever, the lack of confidence, and you're like, will people like this? And you won't know until you put it out. And then if people don't like it, gather some feedback, learn from that error, or not even error, but learn from that situation and get the feedback and apply it, and then put it out again. And that's all that you can do, because it's totally worth it. And then 9 times out of 10, you're going to realize that you were like totally overanalyzing anyway, and people are going to love it from the very beginning.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love that. And I love that there's like a do-over if needed.
Yeah, like you can totally, I've learned because I work in publishing, I've learned with Amazon and the way that the platforms work, especially the electronic ones, even with the paperback, like those can still just be reprinted as well. Like if you need to change the whole chapter in the manuscript, just do that and then republish it. And people are not going to be upset or angry, or I thought people would freak out like if it wasn't perfect, if I missed a spelling or a comma. Like, no, it's not like that at all. Just you can re-put it back out and it's okay.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I think, and that's a real gift to all of the readers out there, and that are those people that are meant to have that book, that they're not waiting and waiting and waiting because we're worried about a comma. We're worried about which of those 2 words to use, that instead we're bringing it forward. And if we need to shift or adjust, we can, but not letting that be the thing that holds back the content that's meant to make a difference in the world. So I want to underline that. Brilliant, brilliant advice. I just so appreciate you leaning into our conversation. And again, I just want to celebrate your success, international bestseller. You Have No Right to Stay Broken. And I'd love for you to let people know the full title, where they can get it, and what is the best way for people to connect in with you.
Yeah, the full title is You Have No Rights to Stay Broken, a story-guided roadmap to self-actualization. It is available everywhere books are sold, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Amazon, and e-version, as well as paperback and hardback. You can be connected with me online through Instagram at Tashiyanna Noel, TASHIYANNANOEL, and through my website, mindwellbodyandsoul.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any final tip or thought for our listeners or readers out there, and writers, combination?
No, I think that, as a writer, writing for yourself and writing for other people are 2 different things. Even when you're writing fiction and you're writing for other people, just to tell an entertaining story. It's a little bit different than writing, personally for yourself, and like writing poetry and things that I've done for myself. And if you're writing for other people, they can tell. I feel like readers can tell. And when you're writing for other people, they receive that. They spread the word, they connect with it, and it connects with them in a way where it's memorable. And I think that should be the goal when you put out, when you go to publish. Make sure you're writing for other people and not for yourself, and it'll be amazing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wonderful tip and thought. And I think it's great for both writers and for readers that, pay attention to that. Notice when an author is writing for the reader. Just notice that. Notice how you feel and how you respond. And those of you who are writing, pay attention to that and get deep into that why, and make sure that it's clear when you're writing for others or you're writing for yourselves. And I think going back to that, trusting that when you are clearly writing for others, it will be received that way, and you can trust it. That can help us, have that courage to release it into the world. And do take 2 if needed. Hopefully not, but if needed, you definitely have that opportunity. So Tashiyanna, thank you for joining us. And I so appreciate it. Continue to be excited as things ripple out, and can't wait to see what book number 2 ends up looking like and coming forward. We'll be watching for that. Listeners, I want to encourage you to take a couple moments at the end of the show and just see what notes, thoughts, ideas are percolating in response to all that Tashiyanna has shared with us today. And my extra credit bonus tip is, /challenge, is to take an action on the information, on the things that have been sparked, because wisdom not shared is lost forever. And so being willing to step forward, being willing to bring your wisdom, your messages forward matters and makes a difference. And so be willing to share it, not just keeping it inside, keep trying to make it perfect with the comma or one last spell check. Really be ready to release it in the world. It matters and it makes a difference. So find a way to take.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. And listeners, find a way to take a step on your journey. Keep writing, keep reading, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to The Author's Journey. Please join Rebecca Hall Gruyter for another edition of the Author's Journey podcast every Monday on the Voice America Variety Channel. And until we talk again, use some of the tips and inspiration from today's show to guide you as you lean in to bringing your message forward.